Hello, Genie OK Boomer here. Welcome to this week's vlog. This week we're going to be talking about Elon Musk. He's been in the news a lot these days, but there is one especially big news item. I'll get to that in a minute. As everybody knows, of course, Elon Musk made an offer to buy Twitter. The offer was accepted. He's supposed to buy Twitter. Since he made his offer to buy, I think at around $54, $54.20 a share to buy Twitter, the stock has been going down. But more important than that, he heard that he bought it on the assurance that the SEC filings that Twitter is required to make, that they were accurate. They said less than 5% of the subscribers, the people on Twitter, would be bots, actually not be people. But he's since then had reason to believe that the percentage could be higher. So now he's questioning the deal. He wants to go, apparently he wants to go through with the deal, but he wants to get a better price. And it's a question of whether he will or not. Twitter is, well, this is interesting for you liberals out there, because the board maybe did not want to sell Twitter at first, but now they very much want to sell Twitter, especially since the stock went down so much, because they said they would take him to court if he tries to back out of the deal. Now, there is a provision where he can pay $1 billion, I believe, and get out of the deal, which would make sense, by the way, to pay the $1 billion, get out, and then if Twitter won't, the board won't negotiate, and a lower price, pay the $1 billion and then get in $10–11 billion cheaper, you still come out ahead. But the other side of the coin is, if it turns out to be true that the SEC filing was not accurate, well, that's a whole new ball game. But that's not what I want to talk about today. Everybody knows about that. We'll see how that turns out. It's just something more interesting has happened, as you may all know, or most of you should know by now. Elon Musk announced that, well, he said that he had always voted for Democrats his whole life. As far as he knew, that he had always voted for Democrats. He said maybe he voted for a Republican, but if he did, he can't remember ever having voted for a Republican. And it was because of voting for Democrats, because he considered the Democrats to be the kindness, the quote-unquote kindness party most of the time. And now he said, well, he said a lot of critical things about the Democratic Party. I won't get into the details of that. I'm going to try to make this a short one today. But he said that he's going to vote Republican, for the first time that, at least that he can remember, which is big news, because I'm wondering if there's going to be a Musk effect. A Musk effect. I'm talking about something called, I was going to say a preference cascade, but it's not really a preference cascade. It's kind of close. A preference cascade is where people they have a certain opinion, but they think they're the only ones with that opinion, and for whatever reason, societal pressure, peer pressure, or in a dictatorship, being afraid of being arrested and killed, you're afraid to say anything, so you keep your thought to yourself. Then one day, where this originated was Nikolai Ceausescu. He was the former dictator of Romania the last time it was communist, and he was making a speech before a large plaza of people. He was very, very brutal. People were afraid to say anything. He was making this speech, and then one person in this enormous crowd said, just shouted out, "Death to the dictator, death to Ceausescu," something like that. Took his life literally in his hands, probably. But then another person shouted it, and then another, and pretty soon the whole plaza was shouting it, because they were all saying the same thing. They were all afraid to speak, but this one person broke the dam, or took his finger out of the dike, and that was it. And that was the end of Ceausescu. Not too long after that, soon after that, Ceausescu and his wife were just taken out and shot, and that was the end of all of Ceausescu, of course, and his wife, and of communism in Romania. That was it, and that's what I'm talking about with Musk in a way. now that he has announced that he is going to vote Republican, I wonder if that's going to inspire a lot of other people to vote Republican. I wonder if a lot of people who, well, I don't consider him a liberal, kind of liberal sensibilities. Like I said, he considered the Democratic Party the kindness party. I can kind of feel for him because I used to be a Democrat a long time ago. I left a long time ago, 1980, early 80s. So to Elon, if you happen to see my vlog, welcome to the dark side. You'll find out who the kindness party really is, wanting people to do better through their own efforts and not being dependent on the government. To me, that is kindness. But that's another vlog for another day. The main point I'm making today is I want to see what happens now that Elon Musk has announced that he's going to vote Republican. And now you're seeing Jeff Bezos of the Washington Post, which he owns, now editorializing against Biden. You're seeing on NBC now a real look into Hunter Biden's finances. His father, Joe, the president, said that his son never made any money from his dealings in China, something like that. A ridiculous story. Now NBC is even reporting that he made at least $5 million. I think it was a total of $11 million, and then he had partners, and he got around a little over 5 million, maybe 5.5. But you get the point. The knives I see are coming out. In any case, regardless of anything Musk, even if he had not said anything, the knives are coming out for Joe Biden. If for no other reason, they see how he's hurting the Democratic Party. I think we'll see what happens. We'll know for sure in a few months. In November, we'll see how the election turns out. But with this announcement from Musk, I'm just wondering if he has coattails. I'm wondering if he's, well, number one, just going to inspire other people who would not have voted Republican now to vote Republican, former Democrats to vote Republican, inspired by Musk. Of course, ballots are secret, but I wonder if we'll see any more announcements. I mean, it would be earth-shaking if Jeff Bezos in 2024 said, I'm voting for the Republican, especially if that Republican is Trump. That's going, maybe he would, even if he just said he's sitting out the election. But if Biden is the candidate, I can't, well, all I can say is I'm popping popcorn. Well, I'm already popping it anyhow because I'll end on this. I just have to tell you this story because, as I said, I used to live in New York, and I lived for about 17 years on the Upper East Side, and my congresswoman was Carolyn Maloney. She's been in there forever, decades after, probably longer than the half-life of a Twinkie. That's how long. I think 37 years, a long, long time. And then you have on the other side of town, you have on the Upper West Side, you have Jerry Nadler, who has also been there forever. And, well, as you may know, redistricting, the New York State lost a seat, so they have to redistrict. And by the way, they're saying they're blaming wherever they're putting the blame, or they're eating their own. They're shouting at each other. If New York hadn't been run so badly, if Democrats had not been running New York so badly that people were leaving in large enough numbers that New York lost a congressional seat, then which, by the way, is one fewer electoral vote in 2024. But if they had not governed New York so badly, those people would probably still be in New York, and they would not have lost the seat, and they would not have this problem. But I looked at the map, and if I can find it, I'll put it up. But the old map, the one that the partisan Democrats tried to draw and got struck down by the judge who, well, by the court, by the high court in New York. And so they had, in New York Supreme Court, they have a Supreme Court, but that's not the highest court. That's the second highest court. So the High Court ruled, they threw out this district map, and they hired an objective outsider to create the map. And what happened was they had carefully constructed these districts, especially, I guess you could call it, I mean, the term is gerrymander, named after a Congressman Jerry from the early 19th century. This is the first time this was done. But Jerry Nadler, a modern day gerrymander, they withdrew the districts a certain way that it's this kind of crazy shape in order to have put enough Democrats in one district to re-elect Nadler. Well, that got struck down. So now the reason I mentioned Maloney is Nadler and Maloney are now in the same district. So only one of them can get re-elected, and neither one of them is going to retire. They both said that they're going to run. So I'm just popping the popcorn, as I said, even before this Musk thing, because I just, well, who's going to win? But the attacks are probably going to be so vicious. I mean, they're both extremely liberal. How can one out-liberal the other? Well, once again, I can't say too many times. I just popped the popcorn. I'm waiting to see what happens. I'll be interested in seeing the campaign commercials, how they attack each other. If they're smart, they won't do that. They'll just say what they would do, each would do if they are the ones elected, and then let the people choose. But this is New York we're talking about, and this is liberals we're talking about. So I'm not really expecting that. We'll be pleasantly surprised if that's what happens. And that's about it for this week. Thanks for stopping by. As always, I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, you can, suggestions for future topics, you can put them in the comment section below the video. You could share this video with anyone you think would enjoy it. You could subscribe. I love getting new subscribers. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.